Measures of central tendency. We all know these as mean, median, mode, and range. So again, a little bit of a review. Mean, the average of a data set. You add up all the data values, you divide by the number of values. This is best used without outliers. Well, what's an outlier? We're going to come to that, of course, in a minute, but an outlier is that one number that just sticks out way out and doesn't belong with the set. Let's say everybody is doing taking a quiz and everybody does really well, and then one person gets a 22. Well, that score was low, something was wrong. Maybe they came in 5 minutes to the end of class. There were all these reasons on why that score was so low. It would be considered an outlier. Median, middle value. This is when you have your data set and it's in numeric order. So when you have it in numeric order, you know that, sorry, I'm just fixing this while I'm talking to you. It's in numeric order. If there is a center number, that's the median. We did this with box and whiskers, and you know if you have one number in the middle, that is called your median. But if there are two numbers in the middle, you take their average. You take the two, you find their average, and now you create a median that was not even part of the data set. This is best used when you have an outlier, because now that one outlier number, it doesn't have that great of an effect on the data. It's only one number out of all of them. Mode, most frequently occurring. This number is what's used most often. You see that every time you're asking people, how old are you? And the number 14 keeps coming up over and over. That will be your mode because it came up the most often. Be aware that you can have more than one mode. You could have two modes. You could have three modes. If there is a tie for mode, you list all of them. What if there's no mode? What if every single data point is only listed one time? Then that's okay. None at all. You have no mode. Range. The range is the difference between your least and greatest value. Here's a sample of a data set. I look at my smallest value, 2, my largest value, 10. The difference between the smallest and the largest, 2 to 10, you can list that as your range, or you could say 8 and find their difference. This is highly affected by an outlier, because if you had, I don't know, let's say we're counting how many quarters do you have in your pocket, and somebody has 50 quarters, all of a sudden the number 50 is here, and it doesn't go with this data at all. Now you're telling me my range is you could have anywhere from 2 to 50 quarters in your pocket? Okay, that would be it wouldn't be very accurate. So you've skewed the data. Skewed meaning something is off, something's not right. Here comes that word outlier. This is a value that is much smaller or greater than the rest of the data set. Often you do have to remove this value because it ruins the data. You have to remove an outlier in order to get a more accurate picture of the data. So although you might be saying, well, that's not fair because if that person really had 50 quarters, it should count. Not if it skews the entire survey and it makes the entire survey useless, then there's no point in including it. Example. Here's my data set. 5, 2, 12, 7, 13, 9, and 8. State the mean, median, mode, and range of this data set. So the mean, I take the total value of the numbers, which is going to be 5 plus 2 plus 12 plus 7 plus 13 plus 9 plus 8. I get 56. There were 7 data points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Divide by 7, and my mean or my average data is 8. Median. This is going to be the number in the middle. But in order to do median, you must remember that it has to be written in numeric order. Otherwise, you are always going to get the wrong answer. And let me guarantee you that on any test you take, they are not going to put the numbers in order for you. So you must remember to put them in numeric order. Now I'm just counting so that I have an even number on both sides, an even number of data points, and I take my middle number. So in this case, my median is 8. If there were two median values, remember, when you have two medians, you have to find their average. Add them together, divide by 2, and you get their average. That number is the median, even though it's not in the data set. In this data set, there was no mode, since no value was repeated. My range was from 2 to 13 or 11. I can say it either way, it is the same thing. What I'd like to take a mention though, this word range, we should all be aware that if you've already gotten to linear equations, you already know that when you graph an XY table, you have your set of X values was called the domain. Well, the set of Y values was called the range. So for some reason, mathematics has decided to give the word range two completely different definitions. Here the range is smallest to largest in a data set. But when you're doing linear equations, the range is your set of Y values. So be careful when you're reading a question and make sure you know which range they are referring to. I have an example here. We went over this in class, but you took home with you a project that would talk about finding a missing grade. I need an 85% average to graduate. So far, my grades are 78, 82, 89, 91, and 75. I have one more test left. What do I need to score on that test to have an overall 85% average or better? I told you in class, this is the type of question you actually will have in real life. You get to college and you want to know, what do I need on my last test in order to get an A or a B in this class? You'll be able to figure it out. We know from algebra that average equals the total sum divided by the number of tests. In fact, we just did this when we said mean, the total sum divided by the number of data points. So I need an average of 85. A total sum, I need to know what will that be. How many points do I need? I know that I have 6 tests. There will be 6 tests. I need to solve for how many points do I need. That becomes my missing variable. I can call that X, I can call it whatever letter of the alphabet I want. That's my missing variable. And I'm going to use basic algebra to find a missing variable. If you have division, the inverse operation, as we all know, is multiplication. So I can multiply both sides by 6 to get my answer. So here was my data set. Here was my equation. I multiply both sides by 6, and I find out that I need 510 points in order to have an 85% average. Well, how many points do I have already? Maybe I have enough points that I don't even need to take the test. Well, let's count up how many points you have. Look at your data set. Add them up. You have 415 points. That is not enough to skip this test. Well, how many points do I need then? I subtract. I look at 510 is what I need. 415 is what I have. I still need 95 points. I will need at least a 95% on this last test in order to have an 85% or higher average. these two slides right here are very helpful to you. So please take a look at them again and use them. Open up your notes at home, find this set of slides. This was 9-3, and you will find how to do the assignment that I gave you. Good luck, and everybody have a nice day, and make sure that you get something accomplished. Bye now.